Hey guys, it's Mrs. Grella. Today we're going to review how to use quadratic formula, but also we're going to take a look at level 2 questions that involve simplification of a radical. If a radical is not in simplest form, we need to learn how to simplify the expression before we submit our answer, because they are asking for the real solutions in simplest form. So that kind of combines what we learned on last Wednesday about quadratic formula and also Friday about simplifying radicals to make sure our answers are in simplest form. So let's take a look at this problem in front of us. All right, they're using r instead of x, but it's the same thing. It's a quadratic equation. And when we have a quadratic equation, we have to set it equal to 0. So it's not equal to 0, it's equal to 6r squared. So we need to do the opposite of 6r squared in order to set it equal to 0. I do like that my exponents, though, are in descending order like they're supposed to be. They're going from highest to lowest, so I like that. So we're going to get 0 here. These can combine to 2r squared. So we're basically left with this. And now we're set equal to 0. Again, I'm going to use quadratic formula like I explained in Wednesday's video because this is not factorable. I can't use a method of factoring to solve it. It's not going to work. And also completing the square would be difficult because I'd have to divide all of these by 2, and this one doesn't go in evenly, so it would be kind of a pain in the butt. So quadratic formula is the best way to go. And quadratic formula is actually good for all questions. You can solve any question using the formula. It's just that it might not be the best way, but you could always do it. So anyway, so let's go to our ABC. Our A is 2, number in front of x squared. Our B is -2, the number in front of x or r. And then our constant is C. So we're going to go into our quadratic formula, which by now you might or might not have memorized. If you didn't, it's okay. That's our quadratic formula, so I'm going to replace everything. So it's x equals -b. So -b is the opposite of b. So the opposite of this, b, -2, would be a +2. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. So -2 squared. I can do that in my calculator. I can do that in my head. -2 times -2 is 4, +4. It should always be a positive number when you square it. Minus 4 times a times c. So let me fill in. The a would be 2. So kind of going down there. And the c would be -7. Let me extend this. It's all under the radical there. And then it says all divided by 2 times a. So again, a is 2 in this problem. So 2 times 2. A can be anything, so it's not always 2 times 2, but in this case it is. All right, so once we fill into the formula, we have to figure out what the radical is. So I'm going to take what's under the radical, and I'm going to type it into my calculator. Let me just clear this out from the last problem I did. So under my radical, it says 4 minus 4 times 2 times -7. So I have a 60 under my radical. All right, so I'm going to rewrite all of this, but I'm going to replace the radical with radical 60. Or square root of 60. Radicals and square roots are the same thing. And I did 4 because 2 times 2 is 4, so I just changed that really quick. Okay, so normally you would leave your answer like this. You would submit it on delta. However, the radical is not in simplest form. We learned on Friday how to simplify the radical. So let's actually go to the side and say simplify radical 60, or the square root of 60. So that means I have to break it up like we did on Friday's lesson. So let's think about our perfect squares. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, and so on. 5 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared. I usually go up to 10 squared, which is 100. Really, I don't even have to go past 60 because I know that anything that's bigger than 60 won't go into 60. I have to pick the highest number on this list that goes into 60. Well, 64 is definitely too big, so that won't work. 49, no, 49 is not going to go into 60. I could double check if I want. 60 divided by 49. Yeah, it doesn't go in evenly. I can't do 49 times something to give me 60. So I'm going to keep trying. Maybe I can try 36. That doesn't go in either. So see how I'm working my way backwards to try to figure out the highest one? So let me try 25. We could always do it this way. Nope. So then 16 is the next highest. Nope. So I gotta try 9 and 4. If 9 and 4 don't work, then I can't simplify this anymore. But if one of these work, I'll be able to simplify it. Oop, 4 works. 4 times 15. 4 times 15 gives me 60. That works. So remember, the perfect square goes on the left. The non-perfect square leftover goes on the right. Again, 4 times 15 does give me 60, so it works. Let's do the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. That one's the perfect square, so it can be done nicely. The other one's not a perfect square. I leave it alone. So I've simplified the radical. That's what you learned how to do for Friday's lesson. The reason we learned that is so that we can simplify the answer here. This is the problem that we were working on. We kind of did this as a sidebar. We simplified the radical 60. So what you want to do in the next step is rewrite that radical 60 as the simplified version. So remember, the simplified version of the square root of 60 was 2 radical 15. I'm going to rewrite that. I'm just rewriting everything. I'm replacing the 60 with the 2 radical 15. So this is the first step in simplifying. We simplify the radical. After we simplify the radical, we have to take a look at the numbers. These 3 numbers here, not the number under the radical. Radicals are different. Radicals will many times give us decimals. So 15 and radical 15 are not the same. But these numbers, 2, 2, and 4, if there's a common number that divides evenly into all 3, we want to simplify that fraction as well. So what number goes into 2, 2, and 4? 2, right? That's the highest number. So all of these are going to get divided by 2. All right, so let's rewrite this. 2 divided by 2 would give me 1. 2 divided by 2 would also give me 1 here. And then 4 divided by 2 would be the denominator, that's 2. So we've actually simplified the fraction now. And then once we've done both, that's our answer. They didn't want it in decimal form, they wanted it in the simplest radical form if we look back at the directions. So that would be the answer I'm going to get. All right, so how would we put this in on delta? So what I would recommend first is, since we have a fraction, to hit the slash button. The slash button is right here. So I'd hit that button. When I hit that button, you can see that the fraction is created, the top and the bottom. So the top, I would do 1 plus or minus 1 radical 15. You can use these buttons here to help you. Then go down and go to the 2 for the denominator, because that's what the answer was here, right? So I'm just basically copying it into there. This should work. I do want to submit my answer. There it is. And then I can see, basically, it kind of reviews what we did here. All right, notice how, again, we plug everything in, we simplify the radical, that's the new step, and then we simplify a common factor from all 3 terms. The 2, and the 4 all went into 2, so we divided each of them by 2, not the radical, but the other 3 numbers. If there's nothing that goes into those numbers, all 3 of them, other than 1, then that's it, and it would stay the same, because if you divide by 1, it doesn't change it. But here you can divide these by 2, so that's why you would want to simplify it that way. If you would have put this as your answer, let's just say, it would not be simplified all the way. Or if, let's say, if you would even put this as your answer, the radical not even being simplified, you'd be correct, but not in simplest form. That's the thing. They wanted it, the directions asked for it in the simplest form here. Okay. Let me know if you have any additional questions as you're working through the problems. Try to look at the solutions for help. And also feel free to join the live sessions if you have questions. And just reach out to me. I'm here to help. All right. Hope you have a great day.